most people use their 20s to kind of pursue meaningless pursuits. You know, they use their 20s as time for pleasure, and it's not really anything ever serious. And here's the only thing I can say to that. Look, I'm only 21 right now. I've got a daughter, I've got a family of my own, and I've spent the past few years, realistically since about the age of 15, just locking in and doing everything that I needed to do in order to get to where I am right now. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't have fun. It doesn't mean that I didn't, spend time with my friends. And it doesn't mean that it was boring. And it doesn't mean that it wasn't worth it. Because look, now I actually have something to look back on, and I have a life now that I can just look at and be like, I'm happy with where I'm at right now. And that is honestly where I'm at. And I'm glad that I've done everything that I've done, these previous years to get here, because there's nothing that I'll take back, honestly, And for me, what honestly sparked this journey was just wanting a better life, was just wanting to build something that I was happy with. And just, like any man, I'll say is like, okay, you want to retire your parents, you want to do all of these things and all of those things. And for me, that was honestly the goal. And now look, I'm 21 with my own family. I've been through my own journey of journaling, my own journey of self-improvement. And the difference is, whenever I see a lot of these self-improvement guys, they say self-improvement. And they have such a mindset where it's kind of more red pill, And it's like, the reason that I even done this in the first place was to build the life that I have now, was to have the family, was to have the happiness, was to not even have the happiness, but the peace. And I guess I've always been at peace because I always knew that I would be here. And actually working hard every day, that brings you peace. But yeah, so this isn't just like any of those other videos where you got people that are working on themselves for a meaningless, it seems like it's working on themselves and it's never ending. It's actually doing it to bring you peace. It's actually doing it so that you will create a life that you are happy with. Now, look, in this video, I want to go over 4 main things in order to get ahead in your 20s and the things that have helped me, get here at only the age of 21. Now, the first thing is having daily non-negotiables. It's having things that you do every single day, regardless of how you feel. Now, this will be a game changer, right? Because a lot of the times, majority of people right now, we kind of float through life and we don't have anything that we're working towards every single day, regardless of how we feel, And that is just what you see in terms of the general world, and it's just how people are. But just doing this one thing will separate you from so many people. And it's not even about separating you from so many people. Just doing this one thing, after a month, you will see results. After 2 months, you will see results. After 6 months, you will see results. And that is just doing the same thing every single day. A few of the same things every single day. Now, if I apply this to fitness, if I said every single day, you have to do this many steps, you have to eat this food, and you have to do this, your life would look completely different right now, whether that is even to do with business. If you say I need to do these things every single day, your business would look completely different. Whether that's to do with trying to learn something. If you want to learn something, you do something every single day, you will have knowledge that you didn't have at the start. And even beyond that, right? Just simply doing the things, what you do is you build self-trust, because you say, you know what? These are things that I said I was going to do every single day. I'm doing them every single day, and I've done it. I've committed to it. So that just shows that I can actually trust myself and the person that I am. And once you build self-trust, you are unstoppable, because you actually show yourself that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. So the first thing is set non-negotiables. Now, what I'd recommend doing is having instead of an overall goal, break it up into a few separate goals. So have like a fitness goal, have a financial goal, and then could just be a personal goal or analytical goal, just depends on what it is that you want to do, right? And then just write down 3 non-negotiables for each one of these things. And if you do them every single day, you will reach your goal, and it's inevitable. And it's actually much easier than people make it out to seem. Now, look, I'm not one of those guys that say, oh, you have to, this is going to be hard. This is going to be this, it's going to be that. Don't get me wrong. There will be times where it's hard. But guess what's harder? What's harder is not being at peace every single night, because you know that you haven't done the things that you need to do, and you're not actually reaching any level of fulfillment because you haven't proven anything to yourself, So yeah, it can be kind of difficult, but once you get into the rhythm of stuff, I can't lie, it's easy. It's just a breeze, because it just becomes your lifestyle. It just becomes your routine, and it's just who you are. Now, lesson 2, this is kind of related to the first point as well, and it's the second thing. Now, listen, Structure creates freedom. And this is why I say this here. Because, okay, let's say you go to work and you work a 9 to 5, and then you come back home and maybe you don't get home till 5:30, 6. I remember when I was working as a chef, I would go to work in the morning. I would not get home till late because it was such a long journey for me to get there. I would have to get like 2 buses. Then I'll have to walk down this long ass road that would take me 20 minutes. It would take me so long. And I was like, I have to do this again and again and again and again and again. And I remember there was one time they put me into work for like 8 days in a row. Then I got 1 day off and then I had to be back in. And when I tell you that's what made me be like, I cannot keep doing this. Yeah. But anyways, back to that, right? Having structure on those days is honestly what saved me, because it was like, okay, so I'd go to work. On my way back from work, I could go to the gym. Even if I could only go to the gym for a little bit and I was only going 3 times in that week, I could do a full body workout. Then I could get home and it would actually work out for me perfectly, to the point where, okay, I just kind of got in a rhythm. And it was like, okay, I could wake up earlier, and then what I could do is I could do 20 minutes of work before I go to work, you know, have like that little break. And then boom, as soon as I'm coming back from work, I would have to go through where the gym was anyway. So I'll train at the gym, 45 minutes, full body, or I do that before work, and I could go back home. So it just worked out for me. That's what I'm saying. Having structure creates freedom, because you actually buy back a lot of your time by planning out your day and actually planning out the things that you need to do. It can get you so much further ahead. So to actually gain structure, have like a timetable for yourself. Because look, there was no problem when you had it in school and you would actually do all the things that they said that they told you to do in school, you know. And with work, there's certain things that you have to do, certain tasks that you have to do day by day. So have something like that for yourself. Hold yourself to the same standard that a boss would hold you. Hold yourself to the same standard that teachers would hold you, you know. So yeah, structure creates freedom. Have an outline of what you need to do, and then pursue those things every single day, similar to the non-negotiables, but actually have goals, have an outline. And when I mean goals as well, have a short-term goal, have a medium-term goal, and have a long-term goal. You know, plan out literally everything, and it will change your life. Now, number 3, and I know this is a big thing for a lot of people, this is don't follow the crowd. Now, look, I say I'm fortunate, but in a way I am, because I've never been somebody that has truly cared about, you know, like fitting in. Never cared. I just didn't care. Like I moved house a lot of times, right? So I was always going to new schools and stuff when I was younger. And for me, that kind of built that up, because it was like, well, it doesn't matter where I go, because I can always make friends. I can always do this. I can always do that. But I was always independent anyway, you know? And it was good because I actually built solid relationships, because the people that I was close to were people who were very much like me. No matter where I went, I always tend to have found those people. So what I've realized from this, and what I'll say about this, is that when you don't care about what other people think, you can get so much further ahead, because a lot of people, they spend time thinking about what this person's going to think about them taking action to change their life. You know, let's say if you never go to the gym, you never trained. Yes, somebody might say, so some of your friends even might say, well, why are you starting working out for? Why are you doing this for? Why are you doing that for? You know, I remember, and it's kind of funny, right? Because I've saw my little brother working out so many times, a year younger than me, yeah? And I'll say to him, come on, like, you got more reps, yeah? And this guy gets embarrassed and stands up. And look, I get it, yeah? But there was a point in my life where I was working out in the living room, or I was working out in the room, and I didn't care. My mum would come in the room and I would still do my push-ups. Like, I wouldn't get up, and I always see this meme, it's kind of funny. But I just stuck to it. I was like, you know, I'll do my push-ups, so let me just do my sets, or I'll go train out in the garden. There was a point in my life where I did 300 push-ups every single day. And yeah, like to me, it was like, okay, I'm just going to continue doing that. And I guess I'm kind of fortunate in the sense as well that my mum took me to the gym first time when I was in year 7. And I was going sometimes, like I didn't really go that often because I wanted to be out. And then I got a gym membership at 15. So my mum would take me to the gym every day. I would be eating in the morning and whatever. But all of that, right? All of that, the only reason I could do that and commit to that is because I didn't care what people thought. I would go to the gym, at 15 years old. I wasn't supposed to be in the gym. You had to be 16. But I would go into the gym at 15 years old. I would set up my rings. There was nobody else doing calisthenics in there except for these 2 older guys, right? But I only met them because I was the only one doing calisthenics. I was doing muscle-ups. I was doing all of this. And then they came to actually teach me. And they taught me a lot. So shout out to those 2 guys. Still know them to this day as well. But they taught me a lot, right? And it was like the only reason that I could have even encountered those people was because I wasn't scared to talk to them, for one. And I was the only one doing what I was doing. And they were also doing that thing at the time. So they came and they spoke to me. And then, they ended up teaching me a lot. So it's like when you don't care about what other people think and you pursue your own things, you will get so much further ahead, and you also gain so much more mental clarity because you don't feel as if you have to step outside wearing a mask and being somebody that honestly just isn't you. So yeah, learn to trust yourself. Don't care about what other people think, live your own life. Now, lesson 4, and this one is huge, especially in this generation because there's so many distractions. Now, this one is clarity and focus. Now, in this life, we need clarity and focus because most people are distracted. And no, it's not, and I say just in this generation, it's not just a generational thing because everywhere you go, no matter if somebody's old, no matter if somebody's young, they're on their phones. They're scrolling, they're constantly distracted, and they're just consuming things that don't even really serve them in any way, shape or form. But they'll still live the same life every day and complain that they don't have time because they're consuming things that don't actually benefit them. They'll finish work, go home, eat food, watch Netflix, but won't even take time to go to the gym or do anything because they are just too distracted. And instead of saying that, instead of taking accountability, they blame the external world for their current situation. They blame the external world for the fact that they're not in shape, that they're not happy, that they're not healthy, and that they're not living the life that they want to live. So having focus and having direction, having complete clarity is a game changer. Now, to actually do this though, you need to understand what it is that you want out of life, because many people say, okay, they understand what they want, but how much do you really understand it? How much if I was to ask you, what do you want right now? Would you know word for word, bar for bar, what it is, what the future is that you actually want? And if you don't know that, you need to know that. You need to. Because once you know that, all you have to do, and this goes back to the non-negotiables point, this goes back to the building structure. Once you know exactly what it is you want to do, all of those things fall into place, right? Because you understand it. All you have to do is work backwards from that goal in order to create a day by day things that you need to do in order to get to that position that you want to get to. Don't be one of these people who's distracted by any and everything. Don't be one of these people who lacks integrity as well, in terms of going back to when I say don't care about what people think. Don't be one of these people that is easily swayed by everything. Stand firm, have your feet planted, have focus, have tunnel vision on the things that you want to do, and don't let anything get in your way. Yes, you'll have some days where you're feeling down. It's not about being a robot, but it's about having those non-negotiables, those things that you do every single day. And then it's about, on those days where you're not feeling too good, just don't push yourself to the limit. Just do the things that you need to do. And then that's it. If you want to chill for a bit. Then just say, you know what, I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. Focus, clarity. Know where you're going. Know where you're headed. Don't just be walking around in a dark room, not knowing where you're going. You need clarity, you need direction. And this isn't just something in your 20s, because I know a lot of older people that only just get this realization now. As long as you get this realization, that is the most important thing. But why not do it in your 20s? Why not, avoid all those distractions and all these things going on around you and just do it now? Because this is a time where we have the most time, we have the most energy, and we can actually build a life where, that we're happy with. Look, all of that to say that your 20s, they're not just about finding yourself. They're about creating yourself. This is going to set the foundation for the person that you're going to become. And the only way that you'll ever be that person is by doing the things that you need to do today. The only way you'll ever become that person is by becoming that person. If you don't make the effort to become that person, then that version of you that you had set out, you won't even realize that they will just slowly disappear. And they'll just become they'll just become somebody that you're not proud of. And you don't want that. We only get one life, so make sure that you bring that life meaning. Don't live a meaningless life. Enjoy it. So stop waiting for the right time, because the only time is now. The only time that exists is the present. So get up and get to work. I'm going to see you in the next one.